Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depends on when you're watching this video. Welcome back to week number 5. We are past the halfway mark in our Principles of Management summer class. Wanted to just kind of get with you guys in regards to where you're at. I want to let you know that your grades have been updated, so anything that you've done prior to week 4 has been graded. So you should see where you stand for the most part in regards to your grade in Principles of Management. This week, first of all, last week, of course, was our midterm. We did not have a discussion or a video. So this is our update. For those of you who wish me well on my trips, I appreciate it. Everything went well. As you know from our previous conversation, I went to Chicago, visited my mom, and then this past week or week ago, I visited a couple friends out in Dallas, and then had a great time, ate a lot of food, had some really good barbecue out there, and what do we got left? We got a trip to Charlotte in July that we're looking forward to, taking some time off in next or this week. Actually, I'll be off Thursday, Friday, and then of course the weekend, so I'll have a 4-day weekend. Looking forward to that. But other than that, when it comes to our class, I hope you guys are and it looks like you guys are doing great, by the way. I have very little complaints other than the average stuff that we do that's obviously tedious. The class is going very well. You guys are doing very good for the most part. Most of you guys are just excelling in this class. You're understanding what's the expectation. Your discussions have been looking good. We've been doing well. You've been giving me authentic discussions. Please, I don't want to read a discussion that's created by AI. I know when it's created by AI, as I mentioned before, so I'm not going to harp on that. But I see a lot of your voices coming out in the discussion. So I do appreciate the effort. I do appreciate the hard work. Thank you for doing that. We have entered week number 5, and this week will be well. Let me go back a week. Week 3, we really talked about the SWOT analysis, which most of you, as soon as I put out the video or the discussion, you knew what to do. You created a quadrant. You created basically the 4 sections, and you divided into the SWOT analysis. Was great. I read through them. I graded them. I think everyone understood the concept. The tool is used a lot in business when it comes to understanding where we position ourselves. I was interested enough watching a small documentary on Five Guys, the burger place. Great burger, but they trapped themselves in what will be quality. So they went opposite of what McDonald's and Burger King, or they're looking for the cheapest product. They didn't care about the price. They really were more focused on the quality of the product, the quality of the meat, the quality of the fries, and that put them in a trap, because as our economy changed and our abilities to accept an expensive burger has adjusted, then we begin to not want to pay $20 for a meal. So it's interesting to see how their strengths eventually became a weakness because of the threats that existed in the environment. The economy changed. So as you look at the SWOT analysis, don't think of it as something that you do one time. This is a tool that's used to position yourself every time something changes. Opportunities come up, things happen. One of the things that I've always sort of complained about with Five Guys, and I understand there's a lot involved, and as I mentioned, they put themselves in a quality trap. They trapped themselves in having the best quality, and as prices raised, they didn't eat the cost. They basically send the cost back to the consumer, raising the cost of a burger, and you're paying $20 to eat a burger is crazy. That said, they didn't venture away from what they knew, what they were used to and comfortable with. They knew how to make a good burger. They knew how to make good hand cut fries. They stay there. My wife is gluten free, so I've always wanted to go eat a burger, but she never really had the opportunity to because they don't offer a gluten free option. So my complaint had always been it's like they should be offering more variety, but that, like I said, they're sort of their mark, their trademark, their strength, if you may, was quality. And then eventually, as time went on, that became their weakness, because all the prices went up, and of course, the threat of the economy. And they needed to look for opportunities. Where else can they go? What else can they do? That said, this week we discuss a topic that's super important because you will either be in one of these positions, if not both at the same time. A leader and a manager. They're two different roles, and people use that sort of in the same term, but they're not. A leader are certain characters are seek or sought for in regards to leadership, and then there's certain characteristics that we seek when we hire a manager. Now, there are some companies that look for someone that's going to lead and manage, but when you go for an interview, that is probably, if it's not one of the questions they ask you, it's definitely one of the questions you should ask. What exactly are you looking for in regards to this position? Are you looking for someone to manage the process and be able to keep production going in a consistent way? Or are you looking for someone that's going to lead the team to improve and become better? There's a local company here that I've had the opportunity to work with in regards to training, and when I first started working with them, they had a position, an operations manager position available, a plant manager position available, and they hired them because they needed a leader. They didn't just want a company that functioned; they wanted a company that improved and would get better. And they hired this gentleman, and within a year he transformed the company. He cleaned it up, he reorganized it, he was able to structure it better, he was able to bring on more efficiency, and I mean literally like brought brighter lights, made the place look nice, he painted it. That's a leader. That's a leader that showed not just the interest in the property, but the interest in the people. He started doing like quarterly lunches with them and spending time with the employees and boosting morale. And you could see the transformation from the first time I visited the plant till now. And when they were seeking someone, they were purposely seeking someone with those leadership qualities. So in this discussion, I want you to think back. Don't define it with a definition that's given to you online. Tell me your experience in leadership and in management. When have you been a manager? When have you been a leader? We could see this in like sports, right? We seek and we know that coach, he's like a leader. He pushes you to the next level. But there are some coaches that are managers. They just, and there's positions in the sports world that are managers. They're not there to motivate the employee or motivate the players. They're there to manage the players, to handle the dollars, the frequencies, the numbers, the stats. So think about that in your own life. When have you worked with a leader? When have you worked with a manager? What's the difference? Give me some pros and cons. I'm looking for a conversation. I'm not looking for a definition. Once again, as I mentioned before, I know what those definitions are. That's not what I want. I don't want you to define leadership and management. Tell me your experience in defining that. I had, for example, in my discussion, you would put something like, I had a leader that motivated me, that encouraged me, and that was my pastor or my whatever, priest or whoever you want to include in that. So, once again, we're in week number 5. Week number 6 will be our last discussion, which will be my favorite discussion. And then week number 7 will be wrapping up this course. So you're technically after this week 2 weeks away from the end of the semester. So make sure you're getting all the points you can on your discussions. Don't miss out on any, because that helps your overall points go up. If you have any questions, let me know. FYI, registration for fall will begin this week. I'm pretty sure that's when it is, or maybe next week. But just be on the lookout for an email, probably from me, letting you know to sign up if you need advisement. Now, advisement is different from registration. You should be able to register yourself through my GNTC and using the degree work, seeing what classes you are missing. But you're also able to book some time with the professors in the program to ask questions. If you have a question regarding, what career path you should take, where you should go for this, or what class you should do, or what specialization you should be taking, that's different. We're not necessarily here to just enter numbers in a computer for you. That's your responsibility. But if you need advisement for your program, then let us know. I'll send out an email to all returning students, which includes you, and we'll go from there. Other than that, today is going to be another hot day, probably rainy day. Stay hydrated. Make sure you guys are not in the sun too long. It's pretty crazy out there. But hopefully it cools down here in the next couple of days is what I understand. So I wish you the best. We got one more discussion after this week, and we are all set, guys. The final week, no discussion, but you have your final. Make sure you are keeping track of your quizzes, because that's going to help you in your final. That's it, guys. Have a wonderful day. We will talk soon, and stay safe out there. Take care.